do just something. Cut the with the death wish, raised with the savage shit, straight out the death pit to keep alive the triple six.
Let's talk about bulking. So, today we're gonna cover multiple topics that could actually be in your interest to know that are related to bulking. Bulking is a really simple kind of thing in practice, but it's way more complex when you start with it and actually realize that it's not that simple. People tend to say that bulking is way easier than cutting, and it is in a few aspects. Like, you could eat like theoretically whatever you want, but sometimes you just have to push that food down your fucking throat to a point where you puke. Now you may wonder, and who the fuck is this guy, aka me, who can teach you how to bulk? So I started at 54 kilograms. I'm going to attach a picture like here. Yeah, here. Now I'm at 74 kilograms. I'm going to attach a picture here. I'm going to do a cool little fucking editing thing. For the record, I am 15, freshly 15. For today, we're going to cover a few topics. They're going to be calorie intake, macros, water, supplements, and that's pretty much it, and training. So we're going to cover all of this today. So quick disclaimer, this guide is for girls as well, but beware that metrics might differ for girls. For example, we're going to talk about water, and boys should drink 4 liters of water minimum a day. Girls should drink 2 liters, so like do your own little research, but like this applies for girls as well. But it's mainly targeted for boys. So if you're a girl watching this, just know that you might have to recheck some of the macros and stuff maybe, and metrics. But the point is, the info that I'm gonna give you is pretty much the same for everyone. It's just the numbers that are different. So let's start with the basics. What is bulking? Okay, what is bulking? Everyone wants to bulk, but no one really knows what it is. So bulking is the process of eating in a calorie surplus, aka eating more in order to gain weight, as in muscle, and minimize the gain of fat. Now there are pretty much 2 ways to bulk. I mean 3, but like really there are 2 ways to bulk. The third one is main gaining, which is very fucking stupid. You don't want to get into it. I fucking hate it. So you have clean bulking and you have dirty bulking. And shortly, clean bulking is eating clean and healthy foods. It's better for people with a high appetite who can just munch down like 3 kilograms of food a day. It's pretty much the best way to bulk, since it would make you put down little fat and more muscle. But it's really hard for anyone who's just a new natural athlete, you know, or like a new person to the gym. It's really hard, since you gotta really stick to that diet. You really gotta push that food down if you don't have an insane appetite. Like you live basically on chicken, rice, broccoli, vegetables, fruits, not like stuff that isn't fried. It's basically high carb, low fat, like you should be doing with any bulk, but it's way more strict. Like you can't have donuts like I'm having now, and you can't have like chocolate milk masticator shakes. And it's also way more strict with the meals. You gotta eat like 3 organized meals a day. I used to do this stuff and I just gave up. It's basically eat whatever, as long as you get to your caloric intake and macros, right? It's better for people who want more freedom with the bulk and with their diet. It will inevitably make you put on more fat, but it's not as exaggerated as people think it is. Like people think that, oh, dirty bulking, you're going to end up at 30% body fat. Yeah, if you eat 7k calories a day, but you're not going to do that. You're going to eat barely 3,000 if you're a newbie. Barely even 2,800 to be quite honest. Like I see motherfuckers saying that they bulk and then I find them eating 2,000 calories, which is, that's wild. Now for 99% of people, I would advise dirty bulking. As long as you're a natural athlete, and as long as you want like to do an extensive bulk. And now people say if you want a dirty bulk, do it for a short period of time. No, you can do that if you're like a pro bodybuilder, but if you're a new person to the gym, in my opinion, you should dirty bulk for a long period of time. I'm speaking like a year and a half or something like that. Me personally, I've been bulking for a year and a half, and I'm at 14% body fat. I have some sort of ab formation, but it's still like not lean abs, you know. Just do a dirty bulk for a long period of time and that would just be the best thing for you. It's way more optimal, you can eat whatever you want. Of course, you still need to make sure you don't overflow on your macros and stuff, and it's still under control. Now let's talk about calorie intake. So what's a calorie surplus? So each person has their maintenance calories. So you can actually calculate this. Just open up Google and look like maintenance calorie calculator. Now the calculator on Google probably will not be 100% correct for each person. So each person has their own body, and like people have fast metabolism, slow metabolism, and it changes and differs by the person. Me personally, Google tells me that I have a 2,400 calorie maintenance maintenance, I have a 2600, even like a 2700 maintenance calorie point. So you really have to find out through a period of time what's your maintenance calories. My best advice for you would be to take 3 days, okay? And then try to eat at what Google tells you is your maintenance calorie. If you lose weight, that's not your maintenance calories. If you stay the same weight for 3 days, pretty much, that's your maintenance calories and you've found your starting point. You have to find your maintenance calories in order to start to bulk, but that's the most basic starting point. That's the start of your path in bulking. So for me, it took a lot of time to figure out how much calories I'm supposed to eat. It took me like 4 months because I felt very kind of lightheaded of the bulk. Like I was very lightheaded about how many calories you should eat, and I thought like, yeah, I can bulk up on 2,400 calories. And then I ate 2,400 calories for a month and didn't see any change in weight. And then I ate 2,600, and then I ate 2,800, and I've had a little bit of a rise in weight. When I ate 2,800, I went up from 54 kilograms to 56 kilograms, or was it 55? Either 55 or 56, but it's still nothing much. And then I spoke with some dude when he walks out, and he told me try 3,000, and I was like, 3,000? What the fuck? That's a lot. And it turned out that 3,000 was the sweet spot, and I stuck with it for like a good while. And you know, it wasn't genuinely 3,000 each and every day. It was like, you know, kind of on the flow, 2,900, 3,000, sometimes 3,100, depending on what I'm eating. And I've had a struggle to get to that calorie intake since I ate very clean foods. And then I decided, fuck it, I'm going balls in. I bought some protein powder, and I started eating like pancakes and shit. And then I went up my weight. I just had enough macros and enough calories in my body, so I could just, you know, go up in weight. So really much do your calorie maintenance. So pretty much do your calorie maintenance. You should add 300 to 400 calories on your bulk. Sometimes, yeah, you might need to add more. You might need to add 500, or you might need to add 600. It just depends on you. You gotta like try to fucking play with it. For me personally, my maintenance is 2,600, and I'm adding around 500 calories on my bulk. Yeah, I'm bulking right now. I'm eating between 3,000 to 3,300 calories a day. Sometimes I get to the 4,000s, but that's really not optimal. I try to like kind of stay really steady on those calories. You know, I don't really want to get to a point where I'm eating like 1,500 calories as a surplus, right? So everything must be proportional. Now let's speak about macros. Really, macros are just everything else other than calories. It's like protein, carbohydrates, fats, even some of the vitamins that you have in your body. And let's talk about the macros themselves and how much you should eat of each one. So let's speak about protein. So protein is a very important macro, right? It's pretty much the second half of bulking. You have yin and yang, right? Yin is the calories, yang is the motherfucking protein. So you gotta get that protein. Now for me, so my advice for you for protein is just calculate it like this. Take your body weight in kilograms and then just multiply it by 2.2, or just eat a gram per body weight in pounds. So for example, my body weight is 74 kilograms. I'm going to multiply it by 2, that's 162.8 grams of protein a day that you need to have. Now protein is super important to eat every day, even slightly more important than calories. But both of them are very, very important, so make sure that you kind of like eat both of them every day and you're good for it. Let's talk about carbohydrates. So carbohydrates are basically the fuel of your body. You have two types of fuel in your body. You have the fat storage and you have the carbohydrates. So basically what happens with carbs is carbs are the fuel of your body. And when you don't have carbs in your body produces ketogenic cells that use the fat reserves that you have as basically the main fuel. And that's why you might feel tired like when you don't have carbs in your body. For me personally, I eat 420 grams of carbohydrates at least every day. I like to have 200 grams of carbohydrates in me before I work out. So for example, if I'm supposed to work out, I'd have 100 grams of carbs in me before I eat my pre-workout meal, and then I'd have another 100 in the pre-workout meal. I'd wait like an hour for it to get processed and then start working out. So yeah, 400 grams of carbs a day would be pretty good for me. You just need to find your sweet spot. I'd advise having it like as you just go to MyFitnessPal and put these settings on your macros. Basically do that 55% of what you eat is carbohydrates, and then it should give you like a good number of how many carbs you should eat. And then I have 160 grams of protein, as you saw. And as for fat, I have around the maximum 70 grams. Advice to keep your fat low and your carbohydrates high. That's pretty much the main point. Bulking is really entirely up to high calories, high protein, high carbs, low fat. So let's talk about water. So water plays a very important role, like generally with everything in your body. Even for people that don't work out, water is a really important thing. It's even more important when you're bulking, right? So when you're bulking, generally my advice is drink at least 4 liters of water a day, and drink even more if you're using creatine. And if you don't know what creatine is, that's okay. We're gonna cover that in a bit. For girls, drink 2 liters of water a day. Now let's talk about training. Training is probably something that a lot of you guys are interested in. So training really shouldn't change depending on bulk or cut, other than like cardio stuff. Now, for training, I'm gonna give you some basic tips. So basically the most optimal way to gain muscle is resistance training, aka lifting weights. I won't advise you to try to use like body weight or street workouts to try to gain weight. That might be good for losing weight or gaining strength, of course, but like for genuinely like going up in muscle and muscle mass, that's like fucking horrible. Like I did body weight exercises and like home workouts for I think it was like 3 or 4 months. And yeah, it didn't help me at all. And the moment that I joined the gym, I went up like massively. I just skyrocketed in my weight, and then it chilled down. Like that's a newbie gain that everyone's speaking about. If you're new and you start training weights, you're going to have like kind of this fucking boost in success in like gaining muscle. You're going to just gain insane amount of muscle pretty quickly, but after like 2 or 3 months, it's gonna just chill down. So yeah, go to the gym, train in the gym, lift weights, lift heavy for like 8 to 10 reps, and we're going to cover the reps in a bit. Just like lift heavy and work out hard, get to failure, then come back home, eat. That's pretty much the cycle. Now let's talk about progressive overload. So progressive overload is really necessary if you want to gain muscle and gain strength, as in like lifting strength. So like increase your bench press weight or increase your, I don't know, fucking deadlift weight. The most optimal way to increase muscle size and strength is progressive overload. So progressive overload is basically something that's kind of inevitable. As long as you grow, you're going to progressive overload. So progressive overloading is basically just either adding weight or adding reps through time, so you can like increase your strength and size. So if you choose to add weight, you're probably going to have lower reps, but you could be at a point where you've been using, like for example 12 kilograms to do bicep curls, but you've been using it for so long that like you haven't even knew that you can do the 18 kilograms for like the same amount of reps. So this actually happened to me. I used 8 kilograms for like 6 months, and then I tried to do like the 14 kilograms, and I just managed to do it for 8, and I was in shock though. So yeah, try to go up the weight every so often, or try to go up the reps, let's say from 10 reps to 12 reps, and then you do that for 3 workouts, and you're going to see you're going to gain some strength. You can go up the weight and go back to your normal reps. Now let's talk about drop sets. So drop sets is basically just dropping the weight progressively as you work out. So let's say that you've started your workout, you started your set, you're doing lat pull downs. Lat pull downs is when you sit and you have this little cable thingy and you just pull it down. Okay? So let's say that you're doing lat pull downs and like you did you're doing a drop set. So you do one set of 10 reps, and then straight as you finish those 10 reps, you basically lower the weight, and then you do another 10 reps. These drop sets are really good for reaching muscle failure, which is when you can't move the weight, and muscle failure is very necessary for muscle growth and strength increase, but people overuse drop sets like a lot. And that isn't really smart, that isn't really optimal, because you're just going to burn out, and you're going to over burn out, if that makes sense. So in my opinion, if you do decide to do drop sets, which is a smart decision, do 1 drop set per exercise and do it like as your last set for that muscle, for that workout. Let's talk about reps. Reps are the numbers of repetitions that you do each set. Now my advice for you for like weight gain and muscle gain and strength gain is to do between 6 to 12 reps. Because if you do more than 12 reps, it's way more easy for you to burn calories, and in a way making it harder for you to gain weight because you have like a higher intake than you think. So just do between 6 to 12. I like to do 10 reps on most of my exercises. If somebody go on and do 12 reps like a leg extension, and with some I go on and do 8 like with the squats. It really depends on the exercise that you're doing, but just 8 to 12 reps, sometimes 6 is optimal with deadlift for example. Just find out what works for you, but don't go above 12. For like strength gain and muscle gain, the most optimal is 6 to 8 reps. But you're probably not a powerlifter if you're watching this, so 8 to 12 reps would be like the most optimal for you. Okay, so let's talk about supplements. Now, supplements is kind of a scary topic for most people because no one actually knows what the fuck like is supplements. For example, if you are like under the age of 18 and you live with your parents and you ask your mother, "Mom, I want protein powder," she'll be like, "Oh my god, you're using steroids, what the fuck?" So here is me, and I'm going to explain to you and your mamas what are supplements and like what each supplement is. So let's start with the basics. Protein powder. So what is protein powder? So for all of you mothers who are worried that your son is taking steroids, protein powder is not a steroid. You eat protein every day. So protein comes from literally anything. This chocolate milk that I have here, this fucking donut inside this donut has protein in it. Like probably this chapstick has protein in it. The only thing that doesn't have protein in it is probably like water and some powder and stuff. So basically protein is just something that you have in pretty much any food that you eat. And to gain muscle you need an added amount of protein. Now to get to your protein intake you might need to take protein powders. So since for example eating 160 grams of protein a day would mean like 6 chicken breasts, I think, like 4 chicken breasts. Not optimal for you. So protein powder might help. Now with protein powder there is pros and cons and different types. So with protein powder you have 3 different types. You have egg protein powder, you have soy protein powder, and you have whey protein powder. So egg, self-explanatory, soy, self-explanatory, whey. What is whey? So you like whey protein powder is just milk. They take the milk, they filter it, and then they just turn it into powder. That's just concentrated protein. My advice for you is to take whey protein since soy protein is shit and egg protein is shit. About protein powder, the pros are that it just helps you reach your macros, and that's cool because now you can reach your macros. And the cons are basically that it's not the best source of protein because it's not 100% from like a whole food. So it's not, for example, from chicken or like from meat, but it's still protein. It's just not the best type of protein that you can have. And there is different qualities to protein. You can actually look up like protein quality index on Google, and you'd find a few researchers about that. It's kind of like a backup plan. Let's say that you haven't got your protein that day, you can just drink a protein shake before you go to bed, and then you're covered, you know. So let's talk about our next supplement, mass gainers. So mass gainers. These are mass gainers. They come in these giant kind of plastic bags, and each bag is pretty much between 6 to 8 kilograms of mass gainer depending on what you buy, like what size. A mass gainer is like one of the best things for dirty bulking since it really is the easiest way to get your macros. So the thing is with mass gainers are that it's basically really good for you in the sense of like it helps you reach your macros and it helps you reach your calories. Now that's the reason that it's called a mass gainer. It has a lot of calories per serving. So basically the reason that it comes in such a giant package, it's not because they want you to have a bunch of protein powder, it's because each serving is really, really big. Like a single serving is 3 scoops or like 150 grams, and like personally I take 2 servings a day. So that basically covers for me 1100 calories, 50 grams of protein and 200 grams of carbs. So yeah, it's just really good for me personally, but you do have like some side effects, not really anything too severe, it just might give you acne. But like personally, yes, I do have acne, but don't use me as an example because like I have a history of acne in my family. Like everyone in my family has insane acne. For me it's to a point where like I take pills. So for me like it's to an extent when I need to take like pills if I don't want to die. Now let's talk about another supplement, pre-workout. So pre-workout is basically just a compound, right? Like this one. Now the point of a pre-workout is to give you energy throughout your workout. So some pre-workouts have BCAAs, which are just like essential amino acids. BCAAs are just like essential amino acids which are like good for testosterone, and testosterone is just a really crucial hormone when it comes to building muscle. If you have low testosterone, you need to fix that. This pre-workout has caffeine. Some pre-workouts don't have caffeine, they just have like stuff that gives you power, like sodium and nitrate shit. So this has like caffeine instead of natural stimulants and electrolytes. This just has caffeine and some electrolytes. If you do take a pre-workout with caffeine, it's pretty addictive, because like at a certain point your body will tolerate the amount of caffeine that you take. This has 200 milligrams per scoop. So let's say that you take 200 milligrams each day, each workout for 2 months. After 2 months you're not gonna feel it. So don't just go ahead and take 2 scoops like a fucking retard. Go ahead and stop taking pre-workout for 2 weeks, and then your body is basically gonna reset. That's my best advice for you. If you're like a heavy caffeine addict, if you're addicted to coffee or like to energy drinks, I'd advise stopping drinking energy drinks and coffee, taking a break for like a week, and then if you want to start pre-workout, you can just like take a half of a scoop. Generally, if you're gonna start pre-workout, I'd advise starting with half a scoop for the first few weeks, and then as your body tolerates it, go to a scoop. But don't go really above than a scoop. If you want, go a scoop and like a third. But just that's only if you want to like PR or do like a really strong workout or something. So some pre-workouts have creatine, some don't. This one seems to not have any creatine. So if we already mentioned creatine, let's go ahead and speak about it. Creatine basically does 2 things. It helps you gain muscle by basically sinking and integrating into the little holes that poke out of your muscles when you work out. It's got kind of an anatomy behind it, behind generally like muscle building and glycogen, the water in the muscle and the air in the muscle. It's got a whole kind of science behind it. But creatine basically simplified, you have holes in your muscle that happen after you work out, and then they get filled with water and the hole grows, and then the muscle grows. And the creatine makes the hole bigger. So if you drink more water, the muscle gets even bigger. And other than that, basically creatine gives you power through your workout, not as in like energy, as in a general power. You could lift more if you take creatine. It's not that critical, but you generally can lift more. So according to research, creatine basically helps you gain 1.5 to 3 kilograms of additional muscle a year if you take it. So I generally highly recommend it. I've been taking it for a year, but a little bit on and off. Sometimes I have like 2 weeks without it just because I don't really have money for it. But I'd really advise it. It's really good. It definitely helped me gain weight. So yeah, so the thing with creatine, you can't just take it and expect it to work. So you can't just blast 20 grams of creatine a day and expect it to work. It doesn't work like that. You need to start taking a small amount and slowly and gradually increase the amount like an addict. So let me like explain to you a little how much you should take. I'm probably gonna attach like a list here or like somewhere in the fucking screen. So 1 to 5 months of using creatine, you should take 3 grams a day. 5 to 8 months of using creatine, you should take 5 grams a day. 8 to 12 months of using creatine, you should take 7 grams a day. And after 1 year, you should take 1 gram per 10 kilograms of body weight. For example, I use 8 grams since I'm 74 kilograms. With creatine, you have to drink an increased amount of water, since like it just requires your body to drink more water. You need to be more hydrated. So 3 to 5 grams of creatine, just drink an additional half a liter of water a day, and above 5 grams are advised to drink an additional liter. I personally drink like 5 liters a day, so that's pretty good. So let's say that you're a dude, you take 3 grams of creatine and you are supposed to drink daily 4 liters, you drink 4.5 liters. Good for the lads and ladies who watch this. I hope I helped. If you have any further questions, just let me know in the comments, and I'd make sure to answer as soon as I see them. And yeah, I hope you have a great journey in your bulk. I hope that you bulk up and actually use the advice that I gave you, the advice that I granted to you. And have a great day. Tell somebody love him. Tell somebody appreciate him. And yeah, that's all for now. Bye bye.